Hello, y'all. Okay, so yesterday, got home at like 1:30. So I could have done a video, but I decided no, I didn't want to. But I've learned, well, from my activities yesterday, I went dancing and my interactions with people. I further solidified something I was postulating and thinking about, and that's assumptions and how the dangers of assumption and assuming. I think a lot of our problems are can be traced back to the assumptions we make about other people. And or so assumptions about other people and assumptions about our circumstances. So I will give you one situation. Um, so I went to San Antonio. I do it every single month for military, and for the military, they set us up at a hotel, and we get a text message, and it said the Holiday Inn, and I assumed it was the Holiday Inn we always stay at. So I went straight to the Holiday Inn, and lo and behold, not the Holiday Inn that I was supposed to stay at. It was a Holiday Inn 410. Then I further assumed if I just looked up Holiday Inn 410, it would take me to the right one. But lo and behold, it took me to the one south when I needed to go north. So, pair that with something like desire. So, my desire to want to be at bed at night, to want to make sure I go to sleep so I can wake up in the morning, and also do my vlog videos and then do my journaling and stargazing. And you can see how a person can be flustered and unsatisfied and flustered with the situation. Well, we talked about desire before and how you need to be able to regulate your desires, and then also, more importantly, choose your attitude in certain situations so that if, let's say, one of your desires isn't met and you feel this unsatisfaction, you can respond with an attitude of let's say a soothing attitude, a calming attitude, something that is not off-putting, instead of being flustered and making this situation worse. That's what Stephen Covey talks about, as in the response between stimulus and our response is that in between where we have the independent will to be able to take the situation and react how we want to. And that's what we do with desire. But before we even get to those situations, sometimes we need to just stop assuming in certain situations that we know better. This is what the Tao Te Ching talks about, is that we really don't know anything. And we shouldn't assume anything. The first chapter of the Tao talks about how the Tao is unexplainable. And you can replace the Tao with life. Life is unexplainable. And if you try to continuously put your assumptions and what you think is knowledge into situations, you're going to get in a situation like I did, where I had to stay up an extra hour and a half just to get to my hotel because of my assumptions. Whereas I should have read the text through, said, okay, 410, and then not knowing where that is, look up on the app that they use the specific address for that hotel. Or it would be, I think, perfectly fine if I made sure I just read the whole text, because then I would have cut my time in half. And sure, it's still assumption, but I think the assumption of trying to find the Holiday Inn that says Holiday Inn 410 and finding that there's two Holiday Inns that are 410 is much better than me assuming that, oh, I've been to this Holiday Inn before, I'll go to the same Holiday Inn that I've always been to. Because you don't know. It's impermanence. Life is always changing, and we always have to be ready for it. And we do this all the time with our relationships and also our desires. So, for example, let's take my example. So, I'm leaving April 2nd, and right now I don't want a girlfriend. So, this girl asked me to go dance, and I was like, okay. I went to the lesson with her, met her there. I danced with her, I danced with other people, and then she invited me to go to a dance hall, and she went with her friend. I went in a separate car, and we went to the dance hall. And I assumed she would say goodbye to me afterwards. And there was a little part of me who wanted, to... she was a very attractive woman. So I could say some of my lust was going through. It's like, she's not talking to me. My lust for her should be, not saying that. What I'm saying is our desires for our other people in the form of lust can easily influence how our assumptions should be. So because of my lust for her, but also of my genuine like to be around her, I assume from those two things that she would say goodbye to me when she left, but she didn't. And that could have devastated me if I let it happen, because that was a desire, and then that was on top of that an assumption to the situation and what I thought about our relationship. So that assumption brought about a desire for that thing to happen, and since it was unfulfilled, I became unsatisfied, or the stimulus was unsatisfaction. But I don't need to react unsatisfactorily to that. I could say, okay, you know what? I assumed that she would. She didn't. That's okay. I'm still gonna go and have a good time dancing. And that's what I did. And she left, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna still dance a little bit. And I danced until the hip hop started. So that's how we can kind of turn our assumptions and desires on its tail, is that feeling that you get with unsatisfaction and with desire, responding in a appropriate manner, one that is self-reflective, not externally reflective, and then talking about assumptions, not assuming anything, being clear with your intentions. Stop trying to understand this situation based on your knowledge and your experiences, because every other person in your life is unique unto themselves and has their own experiences and perspective and way of behaving in the world. So you can't implement your assumptions onto other people, because they're not like you. No one's like you, because no one's like them. We're all unique, even though we have certain patterns we can see within human beings. each one of us is as a unique creation from our genetics. Oh, I love green tea, decaffeinated, by the way. So, assumptions. I was going to say something else about that. So yeah, making sure, and then yeah, so oh, we often assume. Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. And the last thing I wanted to talk about with assumptions, particularly, is common sense. People throw this word around a lot as if everyone in the world or everyone in the country should have this specific common sense that is almost universal. And I would have to disagree, because a lot of it can't be. So each one of us is a unique human being with our own unique circumstances. And what you say as common sense really can only be common if it's something we biologically or psychology that deals with psychology or deals with the brain biologically. Let's say that, because that includes the brain as well. Also, things that are biologically ingrained in humans, because we all have that in common, rather than things that come from culture, because culture depends on your circumstances and a multitude of different things, your environment, your parents, sometimes your genes, sometimes also your appearance, how people react to you, where your environment and how you treat yourself. So all those different circumstances don't make a common sense claim from the idea of culture common. Only something that is biologically ingrained in us that is common. We all think of thoughts, that's common. Our unconscious produces thoughts for us, that's common. That's in almost almost every human being. There's some exceptions. We don't know if someone who's permanently brain dead has these unconscious thoughts. Doesn't, maybe, but these conscious thoughts, I don't know. Kind of weird, kind of different. Some people in special education, what kind of conscious thoughts are they thinking about? That's not maybe not at the same as how we perceive consciousness, but on the whole, it's pretty common. Now, if you implement something from culture, like treating people with decency, well, there is plenty of people who understand that, but just don't do it. And it's not necessarily because it's common. It's more like, one, environment, their culture, their upbringing, and how they were. Because let's say people in the Northeast, in something like New York City and Boston, act totally different from people who are in the South. You heard of the Southern hospitality, the open the doors for people, the saying of ma'am and sir. In New York and Boston, it's feast or famine. And I'm not holding the door open. I'm getting to where I need to be. I'm not doing this. As they are relentless as whenever they're with other people. But when the second you bad mouth one of the people that you call family, they're defending them like that. So, something like treating people fairly and kindly is not necessarily a oh it's common, it's easy. It's like that's not odd. uh I think people are making it more easy than and they think it is, because they haven't actually had a lot of experiences with life in general. Because a lot of what you think is right is blown out the water when you actually start implementing it into your life experiences and other people's life experiences. And when you start actually having to be empathetic for other people, it's hard, hard. And so it's, and another thing as well, using the phrase of it's common sense, is you usually, a lot of people can use it to not try to understand where the other person's coming from or trying to be empathetic, saying something like why'd you do that? That's common sense. It's like, no, shut the hell up. Try to understand where they're coming from and then call them a dumbass. If they a part if they are coming in late to work, you don't just say it's common sense to come into work on time. No, you try to understand their situation. Because if their situation is, oh, I'm sorry, my mom just died in the hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning and I had to get to work because I'm caring for two children as a single mother or single father, that is a completely different circumstance than, oh yeah, I drank until 2 o'clock in the morning last night. So common sense in at least this situation isn't applicable. And I don't think it is applicable in most situations. Because like I said, it's just sense that is garnered from, all right, let's say, sense that is obtained from culture isn't very common. Especially when you're talking about something like rural, urban, your economic class, as your race, your or ethnicity, especially in America where there's such a melting pot of different cultures. It's like you say it's common sense that if a person wears a ring on their left index finger that they're married. Well, Europeans don't have rings to signify a marriage. So if you have a European immigrant come over and it's their first time in America and they're wearing rings on their fingers, well, is that common sense? It's like maybe common sense for the American culture, but it's not universally common sense. So that's why we got to make sure, or we check our assumptions. We check to that we are humble enough and have enough humility to say, you know what, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know everything. I can't assume to know everything. I can't assume that I know this person's situation. Let me try to understand the situation or understand the person better. So that's why I'm going to leave it off. I can't believe I did 19 minutes. It didn't even seem that long, but I hope this helped. So I will see y'all. Actually, I think I will do it tomorrow because I missed Friday. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.